Imagine receiving a message from a friend you've known for years. Not a cry for help, not a goodbye, not something clearly alarming. Just one strange sentence. Short, vague, impossible to interpret correctly. You read it again and again, trying to understand what it means. And you decide to reply later, only to realize a few hours afterward that this was the last message anyone would ever receive from him. That is exactly how the story begins of a man who vanished, leaving behind nothing but a missing phone, a dark apartment, and one unsettling message that still haunts investigators and the internet to this day. He was an ordinary man by every definition. Not famous, not a criminal, not someone who ever expected to become the subject of a mystery. He worked, paid rent on time, bought groceries at the same store every week, greeted his neighbors, and rarely arrived late anywhere. He kept a small circle of people close to him, including one friend he messaged almost every day. Their conversations were simple: work, exhaustion, weekend plans, everyday complaints. Nothing unusual, until one evening. That day began like any other. He woke up early, made himself coffee, leaving the mug in the sink. He checked the weather on his phone, replied to a couple of work messages. There was nothing different about that morning. He left his apartment, locked the door behind him, and went about his routine. The building's security camera recorded him walking out. He looked calm, normal posture, normal clothes, no rush, no visible fear. Throughout the day, he handled ordinary tasks. He stopped by a local store and bought groceries. Surveillance footage showed him paying with his card. Bread, bottled water, something simple for dinner. No alcohol, no strange purchases. Later, he returned home. That was the last confirmed sighting of him. That evening, he sent a message to his friend. It arrived without context or explanation. Just a few words. Not a threat, not a request, not a confession. A sentence that feels almost meaningless unless you assume something is missing. Something like, if anything happens, I wasn't alone. The friend saw the message but didn't reply immediately. He assumed it was an inside joke or a sentence taken out of context. When he finally responded later, the message was never delivered. The phone was already off. The next day, the man didn't show up for work. That was unusual. He always called if he was late. His phone stayed silent. Messages went undelivered. By evening, the friend went to his apartment. The door was locked from the inside. The lights were off. The mailbox was empty. Neighbors hadn't heard anything unusual. No one had seen him leave again. When authorities entered the apartment, everything looked normal. Almost too normal. The groceries he bought were there. Some were put away in the fridge. Some were left on the counter. The coffee cup had gone cold. The bed was untouched. The television was off. No signs of struggle. No sign of urgency. But the phone was missing. That detail immediately became critical. His wallet was still there. His documents were untouched. His keys lay in the hallway. But his phone, the one item he never went anywhere without, was gone. Investigators began reconstructing the timeline. The last message, then silence. But phone carrier data revealed something unsettling. After the message was sent, the phone remained active for a while. It connected to cell towers, changed location, not randomly, not erratically, but in a way that suggested someone was carrying it. The phone moved through the neighborhood, then stopped for several hours, then moved again, and only after that did it shut down permanently. This completely undermined the idea that he simply walked away and lost his phone. If he left voluntarily, why abandon everything except the phone? If something happened to him inside the apartment, how did the phone travel? Investigators explored several theories. The first was a psychological break. Perhaps he was experiencing a personal crisis no one knew about. Maybe the message was a hint that went unnoticed. But everyone who knew him said the same thing. He wasn't withdrawn, he didn't talk about fear, and he never hinted at disappearing. The second theory involved a third person. Someone else may have been with him in the apartment. That would explain the strange wording of the message. I wasn't alone. Perhaps he typed it while anxious. Perhaps he couldn't say more. Perhaps someone nearby made it dangerous to explain. But if that's true, where are the traces? No forced entry. No noise reported. No cameras captured another person entering or leaving. The third theory focused on the phone itself. Could someone else have taken it after he disappeared? Could the message have been sent by someone else? Forensic analysis ruled that out. The message was typed from his device, in his writing style, at his usual typing speed. It was him, and that leads to the most disturbing question of all. What was he trying to say? Investigators reviewed every previous conversation, looked for similar phrases, patterns, codes. Nothing. This message stood alone. He had never written anything like it before. As time passed, the silence grew heavier. No calls, no financial activity, no online presence. He seemed to stop existing the moment the phone went dark. Online communities became obsessed with the case. People analyzed every word of the message. Some believe it referred to physical presence. Others think it was psychological. Some believe it was a warning. Others think it was meant for anyone who might eventually read it. A final proof that he didn't disappear by choice. Months turned into years. The case went cold, but the message didn't. It continues to circulate, dissected and debated. And the same question always returns. If you realized something was wrong, something dangerous, what would you write? And would anyone understand you? Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. How do you interpret that message? Was it a warning? A cry for help? Or are we assigning meaning to something that was never meant to be decoded? Write your theory in the comments. Sometimes an outside perspective reveals what everyone else missed. If you're interested in real criminal cases where a single message changes everything, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We explore stories where the truth hides between the lines, and the most important evidence is made of words that were never explained. Because sometimes people don't vanish without warning. Sometimes they try to tell us, and we realize it far too late.